Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome to the channel. My name is Kayla Cosmos. I am a former English teacher turned digital nomad living here in Taiwan, creating content, working on my YouTube channel, and working online. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I've been wanting to make a video about for a long time, and that is talking about how living in Taiwan has improved my mental health. As a disclaimer, I don't want to be sending the message, come to Taiwan, it'll solve your depression, cure it, you'll never be anxious again. No, that is definitely not the point I am getting across today. For people that are experiencing mental health issues, a lot of those reasons stem from different things, such as experiencing trauma, chemical imbalances in the brain, and from living in a very negative social environment. The mental health issues that I have dealt in my life come from a result of dealing with trauma, living in a negative social environment, and just generally having a pessimistic view of the world. If you haven't gone to university yet, don't study sociology. So another disclaimer that I should add on to my other disclaimer is that I am in no way a mental health professional. I am just speaking from my experiences, and in my life, some of the things that I have dealt with were thoughts. I used to self-harm. I remember there were long periods, like months, where I would think like I just don't want to wake up. It's weird to think I used to go through those things because for a while now I haven't had thoughts like that, which is really nice. But I know that I have been in really, really dark and difficult places in my life. Ever since I was a child, I had been in and out of therapy. I haven't been in therapy for like a year or so now, which is awesome. But if you see a therapist, that's totally fine too. Like for real, like everybody should have a therapist, whether or not you are dealing with some type of mental problem. In this video, I don't want to be focusing on depression so much because I would go through bouts of depression, but it hasn't really been so consistent in my life. So I don't want to sit here and say, living in Taiwan has cured my depression, because I never feel like there are people who really suffer from depression, so that's not somewhere I really want to go. But something that has been consistent in my life is anxiety. And when you are an anxious person, there are certain factors and elements in your outside surroundings that can make dealing with anxiety really, really hard. So with that said, let's get right into it. So the number one thing I want to talk about is safety in Taiwan. And this is especially important to me as a female because when I lived in the United States, particularly when I lived in Philly, I dealt with a lot of harassment, like a lot of sexual harassment. Like I've been followed down the streets, I've been yelled at, not even like yelled, like I've literally been screamed at from the other side of a street block. I have been threatened, like walking home in the middle of the night. All sort of like really scary experiences that when they happen over and over and over, you literally don't want to leave your house sometimes. Like if you are like not feeling well, why do you want to go outside and be like, well, maybe someone's gonna harass me today, or like, you know, so like I've dealt with not just like men harassing me, but just like generally unstable people in the street that have harassed me. And whether or not that has to do with me being a female or anything, it's just a generally dangerous-ish environment, and you're kind of always on edge, and that will take a toll on what is going on in your head. I have almost been jumped once. Like I was like riding my bike at night, and like this girl literally tried to like jump me while I was riding my bike trying to rob me, and she had like 3 other girls with her, and all I could do was think like, I'm about to get the shit beat out of me by 3 teenage girls. I did live in Philly, right? Which is, in a sense, yeah, it's a lot more dangerous to be living in US cities than it is to be living in the countryside. But to be honest, anywhere can be scary. Like my family lives in like, you know, like the suburbs in like another state, you know, like when you go to the grocery store, you know, you're thinking like, yeah, I remember that guy that like shot up that grocery store in Colorado. Like I know that's like a one-off thing. Maybe like there's one mass grocery store shooting per year in the US, but like you still think about that stuff. When I came to Taiwan, I would, you know, walk into my apartment and I would like turn around and look behind me. And then I would be like, why am I watching behind my back? Like nobody's following you. In Taiwan, the only things that I'm really afraid of is like some random person just stabbing me with a knife, because the only insane crime I hear about in Taiwan is like when somebody just like starts stabbing people. And to be fair, I've also seen some crazy stuff, like a few fights, like especially outside of Family Mart when I lived in Kinmen. But like, that's one major thing that has really, really helped me improve my mental state and my mental health, is living in a safer environment where I don't have to watch my back at all times. Yeah. All right, y'all, now we're gonna talk about healthcare. And as you all know, healthcare has a terrible reputation in the United States. We are, I think, the only developed nation that doesn't have universal healthcare. And even regardless of universal healthcare, not only that, but we have a system that really, it's profits over people. In the United States, if you don't have money or enough money, you might just get financially over by the medical system that's supposed to keep you strong and healthy. But trust me, if you're worried about going to the doctor because of potential medical bills, then I guess it doesn't matter how physically healthy you are, because you're going to be mentally like, ah! And I do believe that you should work hard, to be able to have nice things in life. But what I don't believe in is working super hard to have money and then just essentially getting it all possibly taken from you because you're living in a country that has such a terrible healthcare system that will just, throw you a $10,000 bill without even batting an eye. They're like, here's your bill. And they're just like, yeah, $10,000. Like, what, we literally pretend that's normal. Like, that's not normal. So I talked about this in another video, but I actually stayed below a certain income level because I was like, what's less nerve-wracking than paying for health insurance that might ultimately make me pay a ton of money than is necessary in the end of the day? I was like, I think it's easier to stay poor because then I could get Medicare. I think it's Medicare or Medicaid, whichever one it is for the young people, because that was free healthcare. And it didn't make me anxious thinking about having healthcare. So I did, enjoy that system, but you know what? Also it kind of sucks. I don't want to be a leech, but I just don't want to be a victim of insanely high healthcare costs that a lot of people get thrown on them, and they don't deserve them. They don't deserve to be like, well, now I'm thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt because I needed to save my baby because it was born without a butthole, and now we saved my baby, but now I'm like $1 million in debt. That's a real story, by the way. I'll go find it. I'm like 99% sure that's a real story. So welcome to America's healthcare system. So here in Taiwan, it's just been really nice to, one, pay into a healthcare system. If anything, I could pay more for the healthcare in Taiwan because I do hear that workers are underpaid in the system. And you know what? I really wouldn't mind paying more for my insurance because it's really cheap. Once you can remove the fear of your finances from your healthcare, you can just go to the doctor when you feel sick or when you have some type of problem. For example, there are certain stresses and pains that sometimes I've felt in Taiwan, and I go to the doctor because I'm like, oh, this just doesn't seem right. Can you guys check this? In the US, I'd be like, you know what? Whatever's wrong, I'm just gonna deal with it. Because if I go and there's nothing wrong, then I'm just gonna get handed a massive bill, and then I'm gonna have some real problems. And yeah, so moving on. My final talking point is going to be about the cost of living. When I was living in the United States, let me just say that one, rent is much more expensive. Food, I'd say it's about the same price. But when you're including things like rent, your healthcare, and other unexpected costs, like maybe transportation, because transportation can also be quite expensive in the US, whether or not you are taking public transportation or whether you own a car or a scooter, it's still quite expensive to get around. So when it comes to the cost of living, it can actually become a burden, especially if you don't have a super high income. So, I know what it's like to wonder how am I gonna pay my rent, or feel very stressed out at the end of the month because I'm just scraping everything together. That type of stress, once again, will take a mental toll on you. and then you don't know if some other like random unexpected expense is gonna like come out of nowhere. So like, for example, if you can't pay your rent and then you're also paying for a car, maybe you pay $200 a month for your car, then maybe $200 for your insurance, and then you have some type of accident and then your insurance doesn't cover it, and then, you know, next thing you know, you owe like hundreds of more dollars that month out of nowhere. And you were like, girl, I don't even know how I was gonna pay my rent, but now I gotta pay to fix my car. And if I can't pay to fix my car, then I can't get to work to make money to fix the car and to pay my rent. Now, when it comes to Taiwan, you can live pretty cheaply. To me, ever since I've gotten to Taiwan, I have not worried about paying my rent. I've not worried about feeding myself. In fact, I would have money at the end of the month, and my income in Taiwan is about the same that it was in the United States. Low income compared to Taiwan's level of income. I make more money, right? But in the US, the money I make would not get me very far. But what I'm making here, I have money left over at the end of the month. I've paid off my credit cards. I've paid off my private student loans. Like, feels so good. It feels so good to not worry about money. To wrap this video up, as you may be able to tell from the examples I used in my video, my mental health didn't necessarily improve from a biological standpoint, but from a social standpoint. Once those things in my life, such as financial worries, social worries, worrying about my safety, once I took those things and I was just like, get the out of my life. I'm so sick and tired of dealing with this that I shouldn't have to deal with, because I know there are other places that are doing much better, taking care of their people. They're safe. Like, I can afford rent without being afraid of like being like, will I be able to feed myself? Now that I don't have these stressors in my mind, before I used to be like fighting them. I used to be fighting to feel happy and to feel satisfied and to feel mentally calm, because I had all of these other stressors that were really impacting my mental health. And now that I've removed these stressors from my life and I'm living in a society where I can just kind of go about in peace and not have a ton of worries, but still work my ass off just like I used to back home, it's incredible. And it really has done wonders for me, because now I can focus on improving myself even more, finding more peace and stability in my own mind, because I don't have these other things that are kind of getting in the way of that improvement. Of course, I think we do need to fight these battles in life, right? Like, I'm proud that I lived in Philly for a while. I don't like the fact that I was harassed all the time. I don't like thinking about the fact that I almost got jumped. I don't like a lot of these things that had possibly almost happened to me, or I don't like a lot of these social structures in the United States that, you know, like financially punish people for no reason or make it difficult for them to get ahead. But at the same time, I do kind of take pride in this weird way, because it made me tougher. It made me realize that there's certain things in life that I know I deserve better, just like everybody else deserves better. I like to say that now, you know, I deal with like anxiety in like more normal ways. Like if I'm gonna go out on a date, if I'm dealing with something stressful at work, you know, like normal things that should be stressing people out. Now, to repeat my disclaimer earlier, moving abroad or like coming to Taiwan is not just going to like cure any mental health problems that you may have or that somebody else may have. For me, a lot of the issues I dealt with came from things in society, and I was very mentally stressed, and that was really, really wearing me down. And in combination with just generally being an anxious person, it became very toxic. So if you need professional help, that is what your first step should be, not just moving to another country and hoping your problems fix themselves. This is just the experience that I wanted to share, and how my mental health greatly improved by leaving the United States and coming to a country like Taiwan. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you really enjoyed it. I mean, if you're still here, I'm guessing you did, or you're still here just trying to point out all of the flaws in my logic, and then you're gonna go leave a dismissive comment below. I see y'all. I know who you are. Well, I'll know who you are when you leave that comment. Nonetheless, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a big thumbs up, and please subscribe to the channel if you want to continue along with me and my adventures in Taiwan and other commentary content or head shaving content, because you never know what I might put out there next. Thank you again so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Peace. Bye.